I thank God and the leaders of the church for inviting me to take the devotion this evening. I'm not going to stand here and give you a long lecture, but I have been feeling impressed to say a few words on the topic that some of you might have seen posted on our church's website. And it's simply blessings in disguise. It was originally followed by 3 question marks, but it's all right. Brother Isaac asked me in his email for all the information that he needed to plan out the program this evening, and one of the items he wanted was my biodata, and I said to leave that out. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself this evening, only because I know more about myself than I know about any one of you seated here this evening. I come from a family of 5, a father, a mother, a brother and sister, and myself. My father died when I was 2 years old, so I don't remember very much about him. My mother never remarried, and so she had a great struggle all the rest of her years without a husband to bring up the 3 children. My brother was almost 12 years older than I, and my sister 10 years older than I. So as you can imagine, I was bullied a lot. But it was okay. I loved them. Later on, my sister married and had 3 children of her own. And about the year 1970, she moved to Australia with her family. So I grew up most of the time with my immediate family, my mother, my brother, my sister, and her family, and my grandfather who lived with us. That was my mother's father. And about 2 or 3 years after my sister and her family moved to Australia, my grandfather passed away. It was December 14, 1973. I remember the date. It was pouring rain, cats and dogs, and we went out carol singing that night. After going away to Australia in 1970, my sister returned for a brief visit in 1980. She stayed with us for a few weeks and returned. And then I married my wife Sabrina in 1988. A little after that, a few months after our marriage, my sister called me up. I was working in the Services Association office in Ananagar. That was the part of the division office. My sister called me at work and said she had cancer. And it was so strange, just before that, there was a young man working with us in the office. Many of you know him. He had a brain tumor. And we prayed for him. Everybody was praying for him. And God performed a miracle in his life. And the tumor disappeared. So when the news of my sister's illness came to us, we did the same thing. We prayed. Everybody was praying for her. We have relatives in Canada, England, and other places. And it so happened that I decided to go and be with her, and I took Sabrina along with me. And we reached there the day before our first wedding anniversary in 1989. But later that year, in November, it was November 1st, and it was my sister's 28th wedding anniversary. She passed away on that day. My mother could not see her. We tried to bring her to Australia while we were there, but we could not do it, and it was too quick. Years later, we came to the States, Sabrina, Etienne, and I. Etienne was 4 years old. We reached here on October 20, 1994. And a year later, on November 30th, my mother passed away. I had great hopes. Of bringing her here to visit and perhaps to see her sisters in Canada. But it was not to be. The year after she died, Nadine was born. And as many of you know, she was born with a heart defect, and a serious one. And her life has been a struggle. But through it all, God has not let us down. Then my brother had a heart attack in 2006, and he passed away, of course, within a couple of minutes. I thank God for that. He didn't suffer. And so you see, I'm the only one left in my family. But I'm not alone. I have my own family with me. And again, I'm just speaking about myself, and I know as you are sitting here listening to me, each one of you is thinking about similar episodes in your own life. Which one of us is not without it? After my mom passed away, she was the oldest sibling in her family. The next one in the family, my uncle in Canada, he passed away. And then another uncle and another uncle. Then my youngest uncle shortly after my brother died. So a lot of deaths in the family. And then on Sabrina's side, when Nadine was 1.5, she had open heart surgery. She stayed in the hospital for 32 days. Anil is one of the biggest witnesses to that. We barely discharged Nadine from the hospital when my father-in-law passed away. And since then, 3 of Sabrina's siblings have lost their spouses. Her 2 sisters lost their husbands not long ago, and just this week, her oldest brother lost his wife. So, my topic is blessings in disguise? How can I convince myself or each one of you that my trials, your trials, are really blessings in disguise? Is it easy to think of them that way?